It starts with the menu. Then you have people who have the same passion and want to make good food, not just want to, just put a meal together. And then the people who come to the top become the leaders over time.
Welcome to The Profitable Table, fed by Wilco Foods, the nation's first podcast devoted to the business and lifestyle of the hospitality industry. Now, here's your host, Wilco Foods CEO, Stephen Toboroff.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Profitable Table, fed by Wilco Foods. I am your host, Stephen Toboroff, and I've been very much looking forward to this interview that I'm about to have because I'm going to have an opportunity to speak with, and you're going to have an opportunity to listen to, someone who's executing at as high a level as possible in the hospitality industry, but executing within a myriad of challenges and complications that go well beyond what you might find in a traditional restaurant example of the hospitality business. So without any further ado, let me just jump right into this and interview my guest today. It is Gino Dalesandro, who is Director of Food Services for the Doe Fund. Gino, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Sure. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Very good, thank you.
So, Gino, to get us started, if you wouldn't mind, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the hospitality business, and then just transition into telling us a little bit about the Doe Fund and the Doe Fund's mission and your role there?
Sure. I entered food service, the kitchen life, culinary arts. I was very young growing up. It's like, what is Gino like? What is he good at? And everybody says, well, he's in the kitchen with grandma all the time. So I stayed in the kitchen. But all my family at a very early age picked trades. A lot of them roofers, bricklayers. For me, I was culinary arts. And so at a very young age, I started working in kitchens, country clubs. And then I went to the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park. I graduated the Culinary Institute in 1979, and then I worked in restaurants all throughout the city in the 80s. I worked at the Hemsley Palace, Banquet Chef, the Water Club, the Sous Chef. I worked all over New York. As time went on, it was good. It's a hard life, kitchen life, but I love being in the kitchen. So a friend of mine told me an opportunity to work for Hazelden, a nonprofit that's based out of Minnesota. And I said, I knew the organization, and I said, I jumped at the opportunity. So I worked in a nonprofit. Again, I was a director, and I oversaw different locations throughout the country, and I worked for them for 10 years. And then, time goes on, you get a little time to move on. And then I heard about the Doe Fund, 2004. And I've been at the Doe Fund now 20 years. Again, it's what I love, food and recovery. I help guys, I help them recover from addiction, from incarceration, from homelessness. All the guys who I work with have a story, and they all need a hand up.
I love that. It's amazing because I love to hear of people who, from a young age, identify their passion, which you did in the kitchen, and then they pursue it and achieve such a high level. And to combine that with the mission of the Doe Fund, where you're combining the love of culinary arts with helping people transform their lives in every dimension, is got to be incredibly gratifying.
It is. I've been here a while. I have so many of my alumni are directors now, chefs, own their own business.
That's one of the incredible sort of aspects of what you're doing, because I want to get into it in great detail. But in addition to running this mammoth operation, and for people who don't know, who are not in New York City, the Doe Fund is a mammoth operation. It has multiple locations. So in addition to handling the responsibilities of such an organization, which are immense, you're also training people in the culinary arts so that when they graduate and leave, they now, as you just said, go into various kitchens as chefs. They open their own restaurants. When you're involved in what you do day to day, Gino, do you have to sort of consciously go back and forth between running the operation and educating people, or do the two responsibilities kind of just blend together in a very organic way?
They blend together in an organic way. if you operate the kitchen at a hard level and you follow good fundamentals, I serve over 500,000 meals a year. I have 4 locations. I have a tremendous food budget, over $2 million. I have a giant labor budget. But of course, I don't do it alone. I have chefs at each location. I have a lot of support, purchases, admins. But the whole thing is it's operating at a hard level. And then you blend in, because it's operating at a high level, then you can blend in training, because the people you're training are going to learn how to do things the right way. And so they go hand in hand, because we're an accredited training program from the American Culinary Federation, the organization that certifies chefs, who certify master chefs, so they certified us as a training program. But again, the training program is a result of a good operation.
It is a good operation, and it gives them a chance to almost be apprentices. And let me ask you, Gino, in your career, do you find it to be the case that the individuals who graduate from the program, are they people who, like yourself and like many others, had a passion for the culinary arts young? Or do you find it to be the case that sometimes they discover this passion after arriving at the Doe Fund, and you sort of introduce them to something that they never knew about, and those are the ones that become the most excited and passionate about culinary arts?
Yeah, I find that most of them discover it. A lot of the guys come in and they don't know what they're going to do. We offer many vocational trainings, and they don't know what they're going to do. We take them in the kitchen. They don't have a lot of experience, and then they gain experience. And as they learn how to do things, it builds good feelings. It builds self-esteem. As you have a little success, you're willing to work a little more for a little more success. So it kind of feeds in off of each other. But I find the guys, they're always amazed at what, they look back. I have guys working for me for 15, 17 years, and, they're always amazed at what they've learned over the years and at what high level they operate.
It's incredible. Let me ask you, one of the big challenges, as I was saying when I introduced you, it's one thing, even in your prior career working at the Helmsley Palace and other hotels, but now you have an operation where you've got multiple facilities going simultaneously. I would love to know some of your thoughts on how you approach delegation and how you navigate that challenge. I know you've got great people, but how do you structure things so that they're able to do what they need to do, but at the same time, you're ensuring that the entire operation is running in the way you want? Because it's an incredible challenge.
Well, it all starts with the menu. We all have the menu, and we all know how to, everyone, all the staff that I have grown through the organization, so they know how we want to prepare the food. We prepare it in small batches. We prepare everything fresh. We don't buy anything pre-made. We bake, we make our own bread, we make our own stock. So we have recipes for everything. So they know it starts with the menu. And then the menu, then you have people who have the same passion and want to make good food, not just want to, just put a meal together. And then the people who come to the top become the leaders over time. Again, it's over time that you establish the quality. You establish the work environment, that you establish that, and then you pick people to lead, and then of course they lead. But then again, I have to, you have to make sure that things, you can't just, you got to constantly, I do a lot of traveling. I work 2 days in Harlem, 1 day in Brooklyn, 1 day in Manhattan. I go to different facilities because really, the best way to feel the atmosphere of the kitchen is to spend time in the kitchen. And you want to have a learning atmosphere. You want an atmosphere of respect. That's one of the things about working in the kitchen. It's immediate success. You can feel the good feelings when you make the meal. You can hear it in the dining room. It becomes there's like a hush over the dining room. It's quiet. Everybody's enjoying the food,
It's great. It's a great way to describe it, and it's such a great insight. As I was listening to you, I was thinking of something that I had discussed with an earlier guest several episodes ago. Her name's Carolyn Schiff. She's the pastry chef at Gage and Tollner. I think she's now doing something else. But as I was listening to you, Gino, And you would be somebody that is particularly suited to give an opinion. So I'd love to know what you think. You have the background of going to the Culinary Institute. At the same time, you also have the background of training people from the ground up through an immersive experience in the kitchen and through a, as I said, apprenticeship. What advice would you give to somebody who's a young person that's looking to pursue a career in the culinary arts? Do you think it's essential that they get that formal training, or do you think it's just as good or possible to do it by learning in different kitchens and just immersing yourself in the experience?
There's many ways to skin a cat, But what you have to do, you're starting out, you got to work in a good house. You got to work in a good restaurant. You got to work where they do things right. And you can't always go for the money. When I first started out, a lot of jobs I took because they were in good houses. You know what I mean? I worked at the Rainbow Room. I worked at the Hemsey Palace. I worked at a water club. A lot of times you work at places where you're going to learn how to do things the right way. Now, the education, a formal education is great. A couple of things. It helps you, you're looking for a loan. People trust you more because you got some sort of business degree. And people also look to promotion. A lot, you work for a large organization, chefs that have both a experience and a certification, they'll get promoted before someone who just has experience.
It's a good point. And what you said, and because we have a lot of listeners that are not in the hospitality space exclusively, people that are entrepreneurs and interested in business in general. And something you said, which I think is so important, is when you're first starting out in anything, it's really important to assess the value that you're going to get from the place that you worked. I'm going through this now with my oldest son. He's looking for a summer job after his first year in school. And I keep telling him, Jacob, don't be hyper-focused on who's going to give you the most money. Focus instead on where you're going to have the best experience and the best education, because that could pay off far more than whatever you might miss out or what you think you're going to miss out in salary in the short term.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's so important. When you're designing the menu at the Doe Fund, is this something that you do seasonally, and is it something that you do collaboratively, or is it something that you sort of have a process in place that you've been doing for years and it's based upon sort of a top-down approach, or is it more of a collaborative thing with the different locations?
First of all, it's always seasonal. That's what I love, cooking seasonal. That's always what I have a cookbook, published cookbook, Gino's Kitchen, Nourishing in His Soul. It's a seasonal cookbook, and I wrote it over a year going to different markets. And the menu is always based on the season. And as time has gone on, we are so now planned forward. And, the menu has changed over time, and it is written collaboratively. Each, chef has an input. We have some items that we keep on the menu that we know the guys like. You can't always give them what they like. Every week I have at least 2 vegetarian meals, red meat only once a week, lots of fish, lots of chicken, and at least I say 6 to 7 servings of vegetables, fruits and vegetables a day. We have a salad, fruit, vegetables with every meal. So it has evolved. It's changed last year, especially last year with the emphasis on plant food.
And as a chef, do you like that new challenge of creating delicious meals? I would say about 80% of my meals are plant-based, and I've been doing that for a while. So I know that there's a lot of delicious foods out there that don't involve meat. But from your perspective as the chef and as director of food service, do you find that was sort of a learning curve for the people with whom you're working, or has it created some new challenges, or it's just been accepted and just nothing really out of the ordinary?
It was a learning curve getting the residents on board. That was the learning curve. The staff loves it. I have 2 chefs who are actually vegetarian, and for me, I've been eating like 80% vegetarian for a long time. I couldn't even tell you how long, but I've always, the Mediterranean diet. But it was a little pushback from the residents, and then we just, this is what we're doing. This is, and then we got to give them a voice, let them what they would like and what they would like to see with the items. We have spicy stewed eggplant. We do adamati, tofu. a lot of casseroles, beans. So we combine the proteins, and you got to make it flavorful. You got to use good cooking techniques. You use good cooking techniques. You make good food. The people like it. You get them to try it, then they get good. We have a survey report we have from our residents. So 87% of our residents, again, I have over 700 residents, enjoy the food. They rate us good to very good, which is, any restaurant, looking for 90%.
That's great. And you're 100% right. I know in my own personal life, when I've gone out to dinner with people, if the food is prepared properly, it's delicious, and people don't even know that it's plant-based. And I think it's a trend that's here to stay. Something that I would love to know your thoughts on is one of the great things that you do in the Doe Fund, and that the Doe Fund does as an organization, is work with people in recovery. And for many years, people have viewed cooking, just the act of cooking, as a great way to relieve stress and as a great form of almost, therapy and meditation. Have you found that to be the case with people, that just the act of being in the kitchen and cooking, and as you said so correctly, and I love the way you said it, that you get the immediate gratification, do you find that it really helps to people to sort of de-stress and calm down and sort of have a somewhat therapeutic value?
Yeah. For sure, it has a therapeutic. You know why? Because you're in the moment. That's the thing about working in the kitchen. It's like if you're in the moment, all that other stuff that's going on in your head, you're not thinking about. You're focusing on the meal. You're focusing on prep. You're focusing on what you need to do. So I often find it coming to work is a relief because I don't have to worry about, I'm in the moment. And then after you succeed, then you feel good about that. So it's just like a snowball. It's just the whole thing is therapeutic.
I can relate to that. There are many days when my house has got a lot of activity and I just can't wait to get to my office and get to work and be in the moment. So I can certainly relate to that. Now, you worked at some of the most prestigious and well-known hospitality establishments in New York. I would love to know, was there any lesson or any mentor or any experience that you had as you were on your journey that really stuck with you and has sort of still helped to guide your decision-making as you run the Doe Fund?
Work is always, you learn from everyone you work with. But I would say the chef who had the biggest influence was, I had two chefs. Chef Bannon at the Culinary. He's passed away now. He was the chef in the. I had him twice, and he was the chef in the Escoffier room, the Last Kitchen, a la carte. He had a big influence. And then the chef Guy Pouche. He was the chef at the Water Club. I worked at the Water Club for 3 years, and he allowed you to come in the kitchen. You have these items. I got Dover sole. I got saddle of lamb. Let me know what you want to do, and then he'll let you do it. Gave you a lot of. He empowered you, and but he also guidance because, again, the kitchen functioned really well. We were, at the time, 1983, we were like one of the hottest restaurants in New York City. We were doing 400 covers every night, but again, he had this foundation so people could go in different directions with creativity.
I love that. One of the things that I always think about in my organization is that if you really want to get the most out of people that you're working with, give them an opportunity to be creative and give them an opportunity to have some responsibility over the work product, because that's when I think you get the most out of people. And I think in doing that, you really bring out the best of an organization. When people have the chance to be, and food is such a creative art in and of itself, right?
Mm-hmm. No, without a doubt.
So is there a particular recipe or a particular cuisine that's your favorite? Or to put it even differently, has there been new recipes or cuisines? I know you have a cookbook. Is there any type of, as I say, recipe or cuisine that's sort of your favorite, and has that changed over time?
Oh, well, I always enjoy making stews, casseroles, pasta, things, the combination of vegetables, broth, and some sort of carb. Nice, flavorful, cooked right. That's the kind of food that I enjoy eating. And then recently, I enjoy baking. Like I said, we bake everything from scratch. So over the last couple of years, I worked on a lot of different recipes, and I spend more time baking now than I do a lot of other stuff. I enjoy it a lot.
No, that's great. Nothing's better than fresh baked bread or fresh baked cookies. So, I could go on with you all day, but I want to respect your time. Gino, if you were to give someone, we sort of touched this before, but to just go a little deeper into it very briefly, someone that's coming up that wants to work in the nonprofit sector, that looks at you and says, this is the part of the culinary arts arena that I want to work in. Do you think it's helpful for them to work in a different type of establishment first, or can you go right into the nonprofit? In other words, do you think that there are things that you brought with you from these other facilities that have made you better or more well-rounded? Or is it possible for someone to just start from the ground up and say, no, this is the part of the food service segment I love and I'm going to jump in here?
No, I would definitely work in restaurants, hotels where they do things right, learn right technique, right business management, learn right things to do, and then work for a nonprofit that is run right and is really do your due diligence for the nonprofit that you work with, that they're good at what they do and they spend the money on the resident. Not every nonprofit is the same, but I wouldn't start out nonprofit. I would start in industry, and then when you learn all the things you need to know, then you go to a nonprofit, and then you share your experience with the guys, because what you're trying to do is you want to get them ready to work in industry, and you want the guys who are living in the building to feel like you're treating them like a guest. Our guys, they work. We have them, they work in Manhattan cleaning the streets. So we can't tell them that, we care about them and that and they're working now and they're different, and we feed them like everybody else. That doesn't work. They know right away that we're not, we're talking one way, doing another thing,
100%. So. No, that's great. And that's such a powerful statement, showing people respect and appreciation in the way that you provide for them with their nutritional needs and their food. Gino, this has been just an absolute pleasure for me to learn so much and to have the chance to talk to you. And I know it has been for the audience. Can you give me the name of your cookbook again? We're going to put it in the show notes. But for people that want to learn more about you or that have listened and want to get deeper insights into your cooking background, what was the name of the cookbook again?
It was Gino's Kitchen, Nourishing the Soul.
So I'm going to have that in the show notes, and I'm going to include how if people want to sort of, get in touch with you or have a question, that'll be there as well. But Gino, I can't thank you enough. This has been a terrific opportunity for me to learn more, and I really thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I know you're a very busy guy.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Well, have a wonderful day. Okay, Gino?
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for listening to The Profitable Table, fed by Woolco Foods. Please be sure to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast.